Hello everybody. So we have had a busy past month when it comes to chickens, and we have been a little behind when it comes to giving you updates on what's going on with everything. So back in late April, beginning of May, Alice became broody and started sitting on some eggs, and we decided to go ahead and just let her be broody and do her thing. And she was in the main coop with all the other chickens. Now, when it comes to moving a broody hen, you should do this at night, after they have kind of gotten sleepy or have gone to sleep, because otherwise they get fairly upset when you move them. Now, to begin with, we did not do that right away. We let her sit in there for a few days, and then we decided, well, we should probably move her and the eggs that she's sitting on, because what was happening was that the other chickens were coming in and crowding into the nest with her and laying more eggs. So there were eggs laid in succession, so she had been sitting on some for a few days before other ones were then added. So they were at different times of being sat upon. So finally we were like, okay, we need to move her into the little coop so she's got a place on her own. But since Merle, our rooster, is kind of a jerk, we didn't want to have to deal with him, and it was also, I don't know, we got a little lazy about it, didn't want to do it after dark. We're like, well, maybe if we just, close the other chickens and Merle out in the outside section that we've put in, where he can't get to us, then we'll go ahead and move her. It's evening. She's still awake, but maybe she'll be okay. So we did that. We went ahead and locked the other chickens out. We went and picked up. I grabbed Alice and carried her over to the new coop. Mitzi grabbed the eggs, carried them over to the nest in the little side separated coop that we have. Put the eggs in there, sat her on it, and she wasn't having any of it. She got off the nest, ran out, and that little coop has a little section underneath that's caged off, but we had her locked in there, but she just kept running up and down trying to figure out a way to get out, and would not go back to the nest. And we were like, well, if we maybe give her a little bit of time, give her like a little bit, it's getting dark, maybe she'll just go ahead and go in. Nope, she wouldn't do it. So we moved her back to the main coop with her eggs, put her in her, and as soon as we got her back in her original nest, she settled right down and she was cool. So, another week goes by, she adds more eggs to the nest, so now we have like 2 weeks worth of eggs. She started off with like 4, and now she was like up to 8. And we're like, okay, we've got to get her out of the main coop, because we were afraid that also other chicks or the other hens crowding in there with her from time to time to lay eggs, that they would step on the eggs she had been sitting on and crush them or whatever. So the next time we waited until dark, and then we went ahead, after she was pretty sleepy, moved her over with the 8 eggs that she had, and everything went fine. After dark, it was all good. She settled in there and she stayed on the nest. So we were good there. Come May 20, we had our first little hatch. We didn't actually see it hatch, but Mitzi went out in the morning and heard some peeping. And by the 21st, it was sticking its head up underneath its wing and kind of running around. And but that was the only one that hatched initially. So we were going away the following weekend, and while we were away, a second chick hatched, Pip and Peep. So Peep hatched on the 25th and did fine. Same thing when we came home. Both of them were running around and being good little peepers. Alice was still sitting on the nest at that point, but within, a day or two, she started getting up and scratching around, starting to teach them how to eat and whatnot. So we started letting her out, and she would leave the nest for a little while, but then she'd go back in, she'd sit on the eggs some more, and then she'd go back out and teach the peeps some more chicken things. But a few more days went by, and we're like, okay, I don't think any more eggs are going to hatch. We should probably go ahead and take these other ones out of there. We did candle a couple of them. Didn't really see anything going on. So we're like, okay, we'll go ahead and get rid of these eggs tomorrow morning. This was like on a Friday night. So then on Saturday morning, go out, and another egg had little pips in it. Another one had started to hatch. So this is now, over a week past when the second one was hatched. And by Saturday night, it had hatched, made its way out, and on Sunday morning, we came out, and this one, I don't know what the problem was. I don't know if it was because it was hatched so late, and Alice was not staying on the nest as much or not paying attention to it as much, because she would leave the nest with the other two chicks and leave the newborn kind of up there by itself, and it would peep and we'd call her and she'd go back in for a minute and then she'd go back out, but it never really started to walk, and didn't appear to be doing very well. So on Monday, after it was born on Saturday, on Monday, Mitzi came out in the morning and she said, I think the new chick is dead. So I came out a little while later, fully expecting to bury this little new peep, and I looked at it and it was kind of sprawled out there in the nest, and I was like, yeah, it's gone. So I went to pick it up and it fluttered its wing. I was like, oh no, it's still alive, but it's not doing well at all. It was kind of like just breathing heavy and didn't look too healthy. So we brought it inside and it was struggling. We wrapped it up like in a little blanket and we fed it. We got it water. We're putting like little droppers of water in its beak that had like vitamin water and whatnot in it. And Mitzi, I think, also had some molasses in the water. But it was still struggling the whole day. And Mitzi had it, held. We tried a heating pad for a while to keep it warm, and she was holding it in her hands. And towards the end of the day, it started fluttering its wings and looked like maybe it was going to make a comeback. And then Mitzi said that one time when she was even holding it, it kind of like almost sat up a little bit and fluttered its wings and peeped. And then right after that, it died. So we buried the third little chick that evening. And it's kind of ridiculous, but I cried when I buried it. I guess I'm getting more emotional now that I'm in my late 40s. That something that was only there for 2 days that you never really develop a relationship with, that you can feel that much emotion for. But I felt really bad because it had really struggled really since the time that it had been hatched. And there could have been numerous reasons why it didn't make it. This is the things that when you think about getting chickens and raising chickens, this is one of the things that that you're not prepared for. You just think about, oh, I'm going to have all these cute little chicks and I'm going to have all these chickens, I'm going to have eggs, and it's going to be so much fun. But then you have things like this happen. So that was the sad moment here on the homestead. So the rest of the eggs, like the day after that happened, Alice actually just had kicked the rest of the eggs out of the nest. Like, she was done. And like I said, we candled a couple of those as well. Didn't see anything in there. I think they were just too far after the original eggs were in there. Wasn't anything going on. So we got rid of those, and Alice since then has been raising Pip and Peep, and they are doing very well. They love raspberries and mealworms, and they follow Mom all around. Yesterday we took the 3 of them out into the garden and let them run around a bit, and they really enjoyed that, being out of their mother-in-law suite. They're in a separate area that I built in the coop that we've referred to as a mother-in-law suite, that a suite that gives them plenty of room to run around, but they're not in with the rest of the hens and the rooster, so that we don't have to worry about them being, bullied. So once they get old enough, if they're both hens, then we'll incorporate them into the rest of the flock. But we haven't sexed them yet. Since this is our first run at baby chicks, we're not well versed in the way to sex a chicken. So that's not really in our wheelhouse yet. So we're still going to work on that to figure out if we've got 2 hens, 2 roosters, or a hen and a rooster. So while that drama was going on, or all that chick business, we also had 2 sick hens. One was lame. We were afraid that maybe it was Merrick's disease or something more extreme, because we did have a hen back last fall, Earlene. She became lame and got worse and worse, where she couldn't even walk, and we ended up having her put down. And we did not have her tested for Merrick's disease, but she showed some symptoms of Merrick's disease, which is something that can wipe out, half or all of your flock. So then Maud started developing the same type of symptoms. She wasn't walking right. She kind of separated herself from the flock, but we took her in, took her away from the rest of the flock, took her down the basement, put her in a dog cage that we have down there for specific situations like this. She's got Buford the rabbit to keep her company while she's down there. He comes over and checks out to see what's going on. But brought her in. She was only in there overnight, and by the next morning she was walking around fine. And we're thinking maybe she just, maybe hurt her leg jumping off of something and just needed a little bit of rest time away from, being humped by Merle and or maybe chased around by the other chickens or whatever. But so next morning we brought her out, put her in with the rest of the flock, and she was good to go. And she's been fine ever since, back to her normal self. So we were happy about that. At the same time, then Beatrice started separating herself from the flock and seemed very lethargic and down. And, we were keeping an eye on her. This again was around that same weekend that we had gone away for 3 days up to the property. So we had Tim, our Mitzi's son that lives with us. He was watching the pets and looking after them. So we, said, let us know if anything is going on, and we'll come back if need be, because we were only a couple hours away. Anyway, so she had, when we left, this string of, well, I say string, like a long blade of grass hanging out of her butt. Like, well, maybe she, got a hold of a piece of grass and just didn't digest it very well. Maybe something was gone with her crop and she didn't get it through. And hopefully she'll just pass it and she'll be good. Well, when we came home, she had this massive, globby, nasty poop hanging off the back of her. It looked like a horseshoe hanging off the back. And we thought it was vent gleat. Now, if you're a new chicken owner or are not familiar with vent gleat, it's a bacterial infection that can happen to chickens that basically gives them really oozy, nasty, smelly poop. And she did. She smelled god-awful. And then a part of the stuff that was hanging off of her, like one side of it broke off, so now she's got like this big, long thing hanging out of the back of her that was like this big twisted mass of gross poop. And we thought for sure that she was done for. And we're like, okay, and this was the day that we came back from being away. So we're like, let's see if we can fix this. So we started giving her vitamin water and putting vinegar in her water, because apple cider vinegar is really good to put in your chicken water, because it helps with their digestion and bacterial infections and things like vent gleet. But another thing with vent gleet is that you need to bathe the chicken, get them cleaned up, maybe trim off their tail or some of the feathers and fluff around their vent or their butt, so that they can pass stuff okay and keep the gunk away. It turned out that she did not have vent gleet. She had just got a hold of not just one piece of grass, but a whole big mass that she did not, that she must have grabbed and eaten off of somewhere, in the coop or around the coop, and didn't get it digested. So it was like this twisted curl of grass that had gone through and gotten stuck on the way out, but then when she was also doing regular poops, it was collecting onto that and just creating this big mess. So we both put on some rubber gloves, and I caught her, and Mitzi had prepared 2 big tubs of warm water, one with Dawn dish soap in it, and then one that was just clean warm water for a rinse. And we put her in there and just let her soak for probably a good 15 or 20 minutes to loosen up all that stuff on the back of her. And then Mitzi also took some scissors and trimmed off the big strand that was hanging off of the back of her, and washed up the back of her real well. And then we rinsed her off and put her, then Mitzi wrapped her up in a towel and to kind of make her feel a little bit more comfortable and dry. She did really well in the bath. She just kind of sat there. But like after a few minutes of being wrapped in the towel, Mitzi was kind of holding her loosely, and she just got up and jumped out by herself and went back to pecking around. She was still a bit lethargic for another couple of days. She only kept herself separated from the flock for about another day or so, I think. But then slowly, you could tell, she started perking up, started running around, and now she is right back to her normal self, run around. So we had 2 chickens that we thought we were going to lose that weekend, and both of them got better. So anyway, all the rest of the chickens are doing fine. The peeps are growing. They're over the pip is going to be 5 weeks old come Saturday, and then Peep is just a few days behind. So, but they got their feathers, and they can actually fly kind of high. I mean, they could go fly up on the little roost boards I've got for dividers around, and those things are probably 3 feet high. So they get up there no problem. So they're really cute, and they're fun to see. So we really hope that they're both hens, though. So that's about it, I think, for the chicken update. The mother-in-law suite has been working well. The side yard that we put in has been working really well. It lets them out of the main run where there's not really much grass anymore, because they destroyed most of it over the winter. So now they have a grassy area that they can go out, and that area also has a flower bed that we don't really do a whole lot with, but it does have some really tall mint plants and a big Rosa Sharon bush, and they love that Rosa Sharon bush. They go under there, and they've got all kinds of like little dust baths and holes dug down in the mulch, and they stay under there during the heat of the day and just chill out. And then as it gets cooler, then they'll come back into the main part of the coop, especially once the shade from this tree, as the afternoon goes on, it slowly goes over and shades the whole coop by late afternoon. It's pretty hot here today, and it's supposed to be even hotter by the weekend. It's supposed to be up in the 90s. So I think we're gonna have to get our chicken air conditioner out. And I will put a link for that so you can see how to build a little redneck air conditioner that you can use out of a cooler and some ice for your chickens to help cool the air around them. But yeah, that's about it. Hope everything's going well with your homesteads, your chickens, and your gardens, or whatever it is that you are currently working on. Please subscribe to our channel. We can always use some more subscribers. And thanks for stopping by and checking out our video. Hope to see you soon. Hope you're having a great day. Namaste.